Hey guys, welcome back to Contest Prep University. I'm Joe Klemczewski with Adam Atkinson. We're going to talk about how to manage or plan your off season. And I'll be right up front and say, Adam, as a pro bodybuilder, as soon as I got my pro card, I realized I need some time to work. It's not about how many times I can compete. I need the longest off seasons I can get to create some progress. And I love that that has become a trend even among some top coaches. I'll see some coaches now, take 5 years off. And I love that because this is a sport of building. And I think in terms of just the topic at hand, how to plan this, I think that's the number one variable is, are you planning for actual progress? And in that vein, how much weight are you going to gain? What's your approach going to be? So just starting this conversation with clients, what do you typically recommend?
Yeah. So I always kind of recommend based on their feedback. Do they need a lot more size? Do they need more leanness? So if they need more leanness, I might just give them just enough of a recovery phase where I feel like they're in a really good adapted spot. And then we can start dieting down again. And we plan that off season to gain very little body fat. Now, on the contrary, I was always I need to be bigger. So for me, it was, how long is that off season going to be? And I would always plan on usually a year and 6 months of actually growing, and that last 6 months actually being in prep for me. And that always seemed to be good enough for me. I also think another issue is the psychology of a client. How long can they stay engaged in an off season? Is that carrot just too far away to do a 2-year off season? And also, the muscle requirements of the division that they're in.
I totally agree. I always felt like a 2-year off season was perfect because I really had, kind of that 4 to 6 month recovering phase. I know I'm going to have a 6-month diet phase. So it really gave me what I thought would be a super solid year of training and progress. Some people, they get on a run where they get done dieting and they feel like, well, I got this close and I just want to keep going and I want to keep going. I have a client right now who we spent an entire year prepping together before she got on stage and ended up winning a pro show, first time ever, placing 3rd at Worlds, first time ever doing that well. And then she's like, man, this is amazing. I feel good because we dieted so slowly and I had such a great metabolic building into the show. I don't even feel like I'm dieting. I mean, she was winning these shows eating 400 grams of carbs a day. And so she's like, I feel fine. I want to keep going. And so we had just like you said, almost just a little recovery phase to get through to that next spring early show. And then all of a sudden she's winning another pro title and now she's getting ready for another pro show. So she's going to end up competing for 2 years straight. We're talking about a 2-year off season. She's actually been competing for 2 years. And I'm pretty sure at the end of this one, she's going to say, all right, I'm done. I need a timeout.
Yeah.
But, how long did you see challenges with people who compete too often?
Yeah, definitely. I just feel like there's no progression. And that gets hard because as a coach, just sometimes you feel like you're more so getting lucky on who shows up versus it being about that client showing up their best. That's always where I'll usually sit down and try to encourage them to take an off season. And sometimes they don't want to. And, I try to listen as much as I can, but sometimes you just really have to have somebody throw in the towel.
Yeah, I've really seen almost as a rule, as soon as you get to that 10 to 12 month period, a lot of people might start competing in the early spring shows. Then they decide to extend it to summer and fall. But man, once you get into the end of that season, it's almost difficult to hold on to size. They start losing tightness. The metabolism has been suppressed for so long that it's so counterproductive. It's almost impossible to look your best. And for this particular client, we had enough of a little bit of a short off season to bring her back up before down. But I think that's very short lived. I think you're on borrowed time at that point.
Yeah, I think too, when you see how competitive some of the size aspects are in the NPC and some of the other federations now, I think Doug Miller said he took a 5-year off season, and he's probably the biggest guy in, natural bodybuilding, I'll say. So, if I were going against him, I'm like, well, heck, I need 10 years,
Yeah.
It's
Awesome.
so yeah, when you've got the biggest guy taking that long of an off season, you've got to make sure that you have a really good off season to make sure that you stack up against him next time he shows up.
Yep. And that's what I'm going to talk about in the next episode, guys. So we're going to do a part 2. This was planning the off season. The next one is going to be executing the off season, because I want to talk about how to maximize that from a short one to a really deep off season. So we will catch you guys next time.